Why has the deadline changed from the end of November to the 1st of May? So the end of November deadline was put in place a couple of years ago, about 18 months, 24 months ago. And what the Bank of England have seen is that the UK banks, the main UK banks, are slightly behind in terms of implementing the various changes. And they've agreed to move the deadline back to the 1st of May 2025. However, they've made it very, very clear that they will not move the deadline beyond that point again. And they expect the banks and the bank's customers to act and work towards the deadline as if it was the end of November. And they will be tracking the banks and the bank's customers on the progress in terms of getting customers migrated and getting the right data into those messages flowing across CHAPS from November. But they're only going to flick the switch in terms of actually enforcing that in May, but they expect to see changes flowing from November. So what effect does the change in the deadline have for businesses? The reality is it should have no change or no effect. It's really, really important that everyone in the ecosystem, so businesses, banks, vendors, do not take this date as some sort of license to just wait for 6 months or 7 months. Bank of England have made it very, very clear that whilst the date in which they're going to enforce the rules has been moved to the 1st of May 2025, they will be actively tracking who is complying from November, and they will be contacting banks to make sure that the compliance rates increase so that everyone so basically no one's impacted on the 1st of May when they actually flick the switch. So the really important thing is that don't act as though you've got more time, because you kind of haven't. You still have to get things done by November, otherwise you'll have the banks on your back to change your systems and to enrich that data. So what do you need to do to be ready for the new May deadline? Essentially, it was the same things that you had to do to be ready for November before they moved the deadline. So that is that if you are an institution, you will need to add a legal entity identifier and a purpose of payment code into all of your messages. So that's kind of FI to FI messaging. If you're not an FI, then you need to add a purpose of payment code into any transactions related to property. And remember that these are CHAPS transactions, okay? So essentially it's the same things that were due in November. The deadline's just been moved to May. So do I think it's a good thing that the deadline has moved and it gives people more time? I think it's a blessing and a curse. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that the Bank of England are not going to enforce the changes in November. The reality is that not enough people are ready. But I think they've got to be really, really careful about how people sort of think about this message. And if everyone just delays until next year, that's just really bad for the industry. It's really bad for everybody. So I think on the one hand, it's good that it's not going to be enforced immediately, but it would be bad if no one did anything between now and then.